Do we have everybody back, Carbon? All right. I'm going to just talk a little bit because this is the sound of my voice might bring the people in from outside. Might not also, and then we'll close the doors in a couple minutes anyway. So thank you for being here for this forum today. This is the beginning of the forum. It is the beginning of the forum. All right. So officially beginning, welcome. I'm Reverend Sara. I use she, her pronouns. I am a middle-aged white woman with dark brown curly hair, today wearing a bright fuchsia over blue dress. And this is a forum in our series of skill builders. This one is about success stories in congregational engagement. How do we engage people here at OUC? It is being streamed on YouTube. We are also on Zoom, and the forum is being recorded. So we begin, as we do, by lighting a chalice. We light this chalice, a symbol of our faith tradition, a symbol of our connection to one another, a symbol of our faith and values. Thank you for being here. So I have a few slides. I'm going to talk a little bit about what congregational engagement is in general, and then I have folks who are going to share their stories. And then we will open it up to if anyone else has a story they want to share or have questions and thoughts. So our next slide gives an image that was designed by purpose-driven campaigning. So this is an idea of engagement as concentric circles. If you can't read the little words, the outermost ring is the community, and then one ring in is the crowd, which I like that term, the crowd. Then inside that is the congregation. Inside the congregation, the next ring is the committed, and at the center is the core. So in this model, and there are many models, but this is one that can be useful. In this model, the recommendation for increasing engagement is not to focus too much at the center of the circle, but to focus on the edge in. And so with the community, that's our larger community. So that's all of Olympia, Lacey, Tumwater, as far as people are willing to drive or join us on Zoom. So it could be the whole world. And so the community engagement is, how do people find out about us? How do people even know that we exist? And once they have questions, how do they find answers to them if they're curious? The crowd would be those who have some level of engagement with OUC, but it could be something like attending once, coming to the book sale. I have a neighbor who goes there. You know, it is still a pretty tenuous connection and not a lot of engagement yet. And then the congregation, it's not just the members, but all who regularly attend, members and friends. The committed have, as you might guess, some level of commitment to the congregation and have chosen that commitment. And then the core, you know, those people who are on 10 committees all the time, and we couldn't imagine the place without them. So this model doesn't say that people have to move into the core. It's okay to stay at any level as long as that was a choice that the person wanted to make. It's not okay to get stuck at a level because you just couldn't break in, right? So like if a person wants to be in the crowd, that's great. But if they're in the crowd because they just can't quite find their way to more engagement and they would like to, then that's a problem because we haven't welcomed, we haven't engaged. And could I have my next slide? So I also want to be clear that when I'm talking about engagement, there's no one right way that people have to engage. So, a big one is coming to worship, our Sunday worship, but not everybody comes to Sunday worship, and that's okay. Another way to engage is with spiritual practices, or with study and learning, volunteering and service, or social groups and events. And those are just some. I mean, we probably could think of a whole bunch of other ways that people could engage, because this congregation has a lot of stuff going on, a lot. And then the next slide, Carbon. I also want to make clear that on-site and virtual engagement are both appreciated, and we are talking about both. One is not better than the other or more real than the other. So virtual engagement is still valid engagement, and we appreciate our virtual people. And then huddling and mixing. So this one I might need to unpack a little bit, but we are a diverse group, a diverse congregation, and so sometimes we're mixing. We have everybody together. Sunday and Thursday are our biggest mixers, but they could happen at other times too, where we've got people of all ages, we've got people of many genders, we've got people of many interests, theologies, and they're all mixed together. But also sometimes people want to huddle, and a huddle might be around a particular identity. So we have age-based groups. We don't have, not everything is multi-generational. Sometimes we have a kids class. Sometimes we have a youth group. Sometimes we have the Gen XYZ lunch. And those are age-based. Sometimes it's not on purpose or explicit, but it might end up being that it's age-based as well. Classes on aging tend to draw a certain age group, and things like that. We also have identity or affinity groups. So people might form a group around an identity, such as a queer support group, or the caregivers group, parents group. Yeah, these groups that form around a shared identity, interest, concern, etc. And that's another form of huddling. And then we have our big multi-generational and mixed groups. So huddling and mixing are a healthy part of engagement with a large congregation. If we never huddled, it would be hard for people to find the people who are closer to them in some way. And so moving in and out of huddles and then into bigger community is this natural, healthy way to engage. So that's all I'm going to say, and now we're going to share some stories. And Keto, since you're the IRL person, would you like to go first?
Hello, I'm Keto Bay. I use they, them pronouns in my visual description. I have bright pink hair. I'm a young-ish white millennial, and I have bright pink hair, and I'm wearing a black jacket. And I started the Gen XYZ group. I took some notes, so I hopefully won't forget everything that of wisdom I wish to impart, but it started because I was part of a young-ish group that met on Sundays and had pizza at my last congregation, and I found that really helpful for me. And so it's been going on for a little over 2 years, and I emailed Sara after I'd been here a couple of months, and I was like, hey, you don't know me, but what if I started a group of young-ish people who are not the dominant age range on Sundays or on Thursdays, because I was pretty sure we were here. And I think there's a lot of good to be shared and camaraderie with people who have that similar affinity as yours. And so, let's see, my mantra the whole time has been, if you build it, they will come. that sometimes there wasn't a lot of participants, but in the last 2 meetings, we've been at 13 to 15, and sometimes it was just 4 before that. And so I've been thinking of starting a group at OUUC as kind of like soup making. There are some things that are non-negotiable, like having a pot and having a base for your soup, but there's a lot of things that make a good soup and they don't have to all be the same. So I think what makes a good soup here is a facilitator who commits to doing that work, and advertising is not negotiable. The target demographic isn't that large of people who come at least semi-regularly who believe they are part of this community of young people who are 18 to 45, 50-ish. So advertising was really necessary. Sara asked me to have make a video advertising it that got put in the Tuesday email. It's on the monthly flyers. I had to be extroverted enough to actually talk to people who I was like, I've never seen you before, and you look about the right age range, so I'm gonna go up and say hi. So I'm not always 100% extroverted, but that was a really helpful thing that I needed to do that has helped people let them know it's happening, and this is a space that we would welcome you into. Also non-negotiable in soup making is flexibility. Of that some things might not work and that you need to pivot. And I'm a very practiced. I can pivot with the best of them. So that's also something that's very necessary that has made this look successful here. So if you're starting a new group and you've never done something like this before at OUUC, I would recommend having a facilitator, having backup. I don't actually do this alone. I'm the face of it, but I really don't do it alone. I have same-day helpers who help me set up. I've had a congregant in the last couple of months email me and ask, could I provide a salad for your group? 8-9 months out of the year? And I said, oh my God, that's so great, thank you. I love that. I have congregants who, on their own, when they meet a young-ish person, they let them know about lunch. And then they've told me that they do that. And I said, Jenny Taylor, that's so nice of you. I love that. She does that. And so having a facilitator, having backup, and for that facilitator, I definitely recommend acquiring facilitator skills in whatever way that looks like for you. So that might mean taking a class, or it might mean going to events at OUC and just going not to be part of the conversation, but watching the facilitation and figuring out what styles are good for your particular event. And I like observing people, and I learn through observation that way. And yeah, it's been going well. I think it's very successful. And actually, this last week, we've discussed actually having like an offshoot of the lunch group, of starting our own Soul Matters group. On the Sundays in my facilitation, I do very little actually. I haven't told everyone, hey, here's our question of the day. What's your spiritual practice? And let's stick to the question. I haven't been rigid in that on Sundays when we meet, but I think this offshoot group will be a place where we can have a deeper spiritual journey together. And so I guess this is my plug. If you're in this age range and interested in being part of a Soul Matters group of also people in this age range, reach out. If you don't know how to get a hold of me, the staff does. I think that's what I wanted to share.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Keto. So our next sharing would be from one of our online people. Holly, if you're there, I'm going to call you in now.
Thank you. The host just allowed me to unmute. So, um, so I'm going to share this kind of as a success story of OUUC and what that's meant to me and some of the other people who attend online. So you might not be aware of this, but every Sunday there are 40 to 45 people who attend the services on Zoom. So if you're in the sanctuary and you look around, that's a lot of chairs. It's also a lot of parking spaces. You're welcome. Uh, but it's a vibrant online community. And just being online for the people who just come to services and don't do the breakout rooms, that can be really meaningful. And by the way, we really appreciate the eye contact with the cameras that the worship leaders are very kind to include. It really makes us feel belonging with you. So some of us are considered hybrid Zoomers. So these are my terms, but um, but I consider myself a hybrid Zoomer because I have immunity issues. So I avoid large gatherings like the services, and I have to wear a mask indoors. But I attend many of the outdoor activities and some small groups. Um, I can't tell you how often people who Zoom express their gratitude to OUUC for making it possible to engage in this way. Um, OUUC was really quick off the mark in setting up the Zooms and teaching people how to use Zooms during the lockdown. Um, and they also came up with other creative ideas for engagement during these times. And one of my favorite examples is the tea gatherings that Reverend Mary created, because that resulted in a friendship that is very dear to me. And I now treasure the joy of watching my friend's young daughter grow up. Hi, sweetie. And that's just an important part of my life. So even though Zoomers can't eat the cookies and drink the coffee after services, there is a real sense of community in the breakout rooms. We do check-ins and we share resources. We've gotten to know each other and sometimes check in with each other, connect between services and walks or emails or whatever. There are people who are online because they have mobility issues or extreme chemical sensitivity or people who have moved away. Fred even joins us from Africa in a breakout room once in a while. Um, So the church has also offered engagement through Zoom in other ways, and I've attended classes, team meetings, and I love singing with Troy on Saturday mornings. And by the way, if you haven't tried that, one advantage of being on Zoom during Troy's singing is that nobody knows if you're on tune or not because you're muted. So it's great. And of course, he tells wonderful stories. Um, so I also engage with the church by being on the Cookie Brigade, volunteering at the book sale, doing social justice events, other ways where I can do that. But despite doing those things and attending almost every Sunday, there are still people who attend in-person services regularly who I don't know or who don't recognize me. And that sometimes seems a bit strange because I'm here pretty much every Sunday. But for the most part, and in so many ways, the community has really made me and others online feel a part of this wonderful community. And so I just really want to thank you for supporting us Zoomers.
Thank you so much, Holly. Much appreciated. And while we're on the online group, I'm going to invite Kate in next.
Oh, did it work? All right. Hi, my name's Kate. This is Lark. Let's see here. I moved here in 2021. My story is going to be little different than everyone else's. We have our own set of constraints. Um, and yeah, so we joined in 2021 in the middle of COVID. And it was kind of, at first, in some ways, it felt easy to connect because I came to a tea that Reverend Mary did and made a couple of really great friends, like right off the bat. And then those people I kind of like found out in the community or supported us after my daughter was born. I'm thinking about the trunk or treat that kind of happened that fall as well. And then the services that were so easy to connect with virtually before I gave birth. But after I gave birth, things got trickier, mostly because we had some kind of specific health issues that left us with a very tight schedule and a lot of time at home. And I remember really struggling with like how I was going to connect, but also at the same time kind of feeling OUC's support, even though I wasn't able to like attend services in person. So we had, I think, 2 meal trains that really got me through postpartum. And I really was so grateful for the love and connections that we made through those acts of service. Friends who we are still close with, who we engage with outside of church frequently. And then let's see here. There's something else I was going to say about that. Oh yeah, we even did a dedication ceremony at a time when I wasn't attending services regularly because I'm very committed to being a part of the congregation, just struggles sometimes to find a way to make it fit with our lives. I even remember meeting with Reverend Sara and being like, so how do we do this? And her being kind of like, well, it's just really hard until they turn 3 and feeling like really deflated. But I also felt like she really heard that. And so while I was still looking for things, she was working on things in the background to kind of make it easier for us to connect kind of outside of services. And I was really grateful for that. So I think the other group that has been really instrumental for us is at one point I realized like maybe if people come to us, it would be less hard. So I ended up offering to host a Soul Matters group, but I'm literally the physical space for it. Other people, for the most part, kind of like lead or facilitate the group. But we all benefit from being in our home. And that Soul Matters group, I think it's 2 years old now. So and we love all those people dearly and connect with them outside of group regularly as well. And then the last piece that I've really enjoyed has been a parent group that Reverend Sara set up on Thursdays once a month. Having that happen virtually after my kiddo's bedtime has made it possible for me to connect with people who I didn't even know attended OUC and to feel kind of supported on my parenting journey at a time when in a lot of ways it can feel kind of isolating to be doing what I'm doing. So, and there's Lark saying hello. So I'm really grateful for OUC and all of the wonderful people I've met. And I feel like I'm constantly inspired to be the type of person I want to be in the world and reminded of all the different ways that I can do that by the acts of service and kindness and just kind of love that we've received from so many wonderful people. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Kate and Lark. So our final story is one that is from another parent, Whitney Godby, who could not be here today but wrote up her thoughts so that I could share them. So Whitney says, I started attending at OUC in October 2018 when my son was almost 2 years old. I was brand new to Olympia. My husband worked on Sundays, and I was struggling as an overwhelmed parent. I really hoped that through my sporadic Sunday attendance, someone in the Commons would just claim me as their friend, or offer to mentor me as a parent, or better yet, invite themselves to my house to play with my son while I took a nap. Although these fantasies never came true, people were really friendly and welcoming. Coming to Sunday services was hard, though. Despite my best attempts at managing all the variables, it often resulted in a disrupted nap time, a hectic race to get lunch while hangry, or feeling defeated when my son wasn't happy in the nursery or quiet and content in the sanctuary. If this resonates with where you are at currently, I wish back then that I'd told someone what I needed. I think people would have helped. In fact, responding to a request for help ended up becoming a pathway to engagement for me. I signed up to receive the Caring Friends emails and responded to a request to bring a meal to a new parent in 2022, who ended up becoming a dear friend. I'm now in a Soul Matters group that she has hosted for the past 2 years. Another pathway to engagement for me was attending the Thursday night dinners. Once my son was old enough to go to this really amazing classes for kids that are offered, I was free during that time to try out other groups like the parent group. One of the first Thursday options I tried out was a social justice book group. The conversations in that group were deeply personal, and the topics we were wrestling with were transformative. But more importantly, I met another good friend. This friend invited me to come to the sewing ministry gatherings, where I could engage with my creative side and didn't have to clean up a mess at my house afterwards. Amazing. This brings me to another pathway that has helped me engage at OUUC, joining other groups. In addition to the sewing ministry, I have tried out worship arts, the environmental action team, and SWIFT. I have found these to be excellent places to make friends and become more informed about our community. In my experience, people have been really accepting of my limited capacity. I'm so grateful for the OUC community and the connections I've formed here. Thank you for writing that up, Whitney. So now I want to open this up to general conversation. If anyone else has a story of how they've found success at engagement at OUC, I would love to hear those. But also, we can talk about the ways that it's hard and what might not be working and what might be a way to improve our engagement. So if you are online and have something to add, you can put it in the chat if you want, and we'll read it here in the room, or you can raise your virtual hand or wave at Carbon in some other way and then be brought into the space to speak from the TV. If you're here, please wait for me to bring a microphone, because that's the only way everyone can hear. So. Story mic, Carbon.
It's the story. Okay, it's the story mark. I have two things about engagement, my own personal experience. One is with the brownies, books, and beans, or whatever is the order of those words. I don't remember. Books are the thing that I do. And I had had very little contact with this congregation before, so I was probably in the community or crowd circle at the time, and I had had some connection with Sally Brennan because she had volunteered with Books to Prisoners, and she reached out to me before I ever started coming to services on Sunday here to ask if I would do this big task at the book sale. I'm like, okay. And it felt right to me because the book sale in OUUC was very supportive of our Books to Prisoners program and provided books at the end of the sale. And it felt like a way that I could reciprocate and help with that. But, and then once I did that, it's like, oh, this is a group of people I need to be with more. And so even that kind of just coming from the outside and being asked to do a big thing was a great way for me to connect in the beginning with this congregation. So there are lots of ways to come in, I feel like. And the other part for me is I'm very introverted, and I don't like the coffee hour part after. It's horrible for me. I'm terrible at, I mean, it's fine now because I know lots of people, but in the beginning it was not a way for me to connect with people. And what I found was the Thursday night dinners was a much better social opportunity. Like, you sit down at a table and people are always welcoming. It didn't feel cliquish, at the tables. Like, I could sit down at any table and people would be friendly and introduce themselves, and I could get to know them and have a little conversation, and it was sort of like a little easy captive audience or something, and it worked much better than the coffee hour time after for me, and that was my beginning into sort of social connections with people, and I grew to help support the Thursday dinners in various ways, and yeah, it's great that we have so many different kinds of opportunities. Yeah.
Thank you, Jasper. Yeah. Do we have anybody online who'd like to share Carbon? Nope. Do?
Hey Liz, if you're talking, we can't hear you right this moment.
Oh, thank you, Carbon. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yes, that works. I'm gonna unmute you for the room now.
Thank you, friend. Hi, everyone. This is Liz Clement. I'm going to keep my camera off right now, but it's really a gift to see the beautiful faces I can see right now. I just I want to partly echo what Jasper said first before I add in my own here. I also am so grateful for the wide variety of ways to connect with people and the really intentional ways um, that this community offers more than coffee and talking in the commons and the large groups spaces. I love meeting new people, and it's really hard for me to be in crowded, loud spaces. Just simply like sensory wise. My hearing is fine, but I have audio processing challenges sometimes. And so the Commons is absolutely overwhelming for me. So I'm really grateful for everybody in the Commons and also the people who kind of gather in the quieter spaces of the buildings too. If you're another person who that might be helpful for and you haven't yet done it, just walk down the hallway some Sunday morning because there's a good chance you might find some people in a quieter space back there too. Um, what I really raised my hand and I wanted to say was I'm just so grateful for the wide variety of so many different things and ways to connect with people and be involved at OUUC. And I am learning this thing that we all can experience. Things can change over time, and what used to be a really good connection and way for us to participate and contribute, you know, um, sometimes doesn't feel like it fits anymore. But at OUUC, because there are so many wonderful people and so many different things going on, there's something else at that community that we can probably connect with if we want. So I would just encourage anyone, if you're ever going through a space in time where the things that you've loved and you've really connected with just don't kind of feel like they fit anymore. Um, if you stay with those, that's wonderful. But if that's something that you can't stay with, there's lots more for you here too. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Liz. Yeah. Anyone else? Yes, Arlene.
Hi. I guess I'm one of those people that's in the core now. Been here like over 30 years. And for me, I am a introvert masquerading as an extrovert. Uh, so I tend to join so many activities until I can't handle it anymore and I have to drop. So I've learned over the years that I'm good for 2 ongoing commitments, and everything else has to be one-offs. Like I can do board and I can do choir, and then I can do a 6-week acting class, but I can't join a committee from here on. I'm good for 2 long-term and other one-offs. So like at the book sale, I only do cashiering head the day of the sale. I can come in, run the cashier, make the deposit, and I'm done. I would know how to run the book sale, but I don't have the space, the emotional level required to. I know how many balls I can keep juggling in the air. So, and I'm still working full time. And yeah, so I'm grateful that this community supports me that way. And though I miss some of the things in the old days where we all showed up and marched for marriage rights, and the choir went down and sang for the opening of the new Out of the Woods Panza village, and some of the things that sprung up small and grew into really great healthy things. And it's different now. So, when the board's over in a year or 2, I'll be thinking of what my next other long-term one is to take its place. But yeah, that's how I manage it.
Thank you, Arlene. That's good modeling of knowing how many balls you can hold up in the air. Yeah. Anything else anybody would like to say or questions? Like I said, we also can open up to if we have, yeah.
Hi, so a question I have that I've been asking a lot of people lately just because I'm fascinated and curious about the subject. What are people's thoughts or knowledge on Satanism and Luciferianism as a concept?
Yeah. Well, so for sure, with our pluralism here, so many theologies are welcome for folks to hold and for debate. I'm not aware of anybody who's been interested in pursuing more study of Satanism. But that's the sort of thing that we always could have people decide to do a study together. Yeah, nobody else has asked me, so I can't connect you directly with anybody else right now. But that is the sort of thing. When we have an interest, we can start an interest group. Yeah, yeah. And you're the person. And I am the person, yes. Yeah, so if anyone who has an interest, let me know, and then I can make those connections. Yeah, thank you. Any other questions, stories? Anyone online? There's one in the chat. Okay. So Holly shares, thanks to the staff for all the hard work that it takes to make all these engagement possibilities happen. Yes, thank you, Holly. It doesn't happen. It's not just staff. It is also, we have a whole team of volunteers, and there's many ways that everyone can pitch in to making the engagement happen. Yeah, it's shared ministry for sure. All right, Reverend Mary.
Thanks so much, everyone, for your sharing. And I just wanted to give a shout out to the congregation. I see that Chloe is in the room, and it was the generosity of the last stewardship drive last spring that allowed us to bring Chloe on board to help with member engagement, to help support. Oh, I have an interest in this. Can you connect me with someone? And so, Chloe, we're so grateful that you're with us, and thank you all for your generosity that allowed that to happen.
Yes, thank you so much. And yes, huge gratitude for Chloe and for filling this role of member engagement specialist. One thing you may not all realize is that, you know, we have lots of that from community to crowd to congregation, that transition. We get visitor cards, we get questions, and somebody's got to follow up and like reach back out to everyone. And in a congregation of this size, that really does need a dedicated person. So Chloe's doing fabulous work at bringing people the answers they need and helping them find their way in. So thank you, Chloe. Anything else anyone would like to lift up?
I appreciate the opportunity. You said lift up, and I guess that felt moving to say something. I was thinking of those rings. You said something about congregation and committed, and I was just kind of thinking about the shared value of transformation and how you can commit and still wait for transformation, right? Like things aren't, that's what we believe in. So I really like that, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, Shyler. Yeah, the commitment can change over time too. Transformation is ongoing. Kind of what Liz was sharing about sometimes the thing that you were doing that was your niche doesn't fit anymore, and you might find a new one. So it is an ongoing transformation, this whole process. Yeah. All right. Well, I was just so appreciative of everyone's willingness to share their stories, their tips, their recipes for a successful group, the challenges. And I encourage you all to continue thinking about what engagement can look like. And notice that several people lifted up that somebody reached out to them, somebody invited them to a group, or somebody asked them to do an important volunteer role, or Keto shared just coming in and saying, hey, can I do this thing as a brand new person? That is unusual. That is unusual. A lot of people need an invitation. So you can be an inviter. You can invite others in. And an invitation is still, it is still consensual. So you're not gonna say, you must come and join my team. We need people. You have skills that we need you to apply here. No, it's a, would you like to? Yes, so we're not strong-arming people into an engagement, but we are inviting them in. So please, whenever you see anyone that you think, oh yeah, I have an invitation that'd be right for this person, you don't have to be on staff or in official leadership to be part of this process of engaging everyone. So that is my encouragement to you all. And with much appreciation, we'll end today by extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this light, but not the community, the faith, and the love that it represents. Those we carry in our hearts until we meet again. Thank you all so very much.